What up, everybody? Welcome to Trailer Park, the movie review show that focuses on the trailers of the movies. I am your host, Richard Barlow, and this is the last week for the mustache, meaning it's your last week to donate to my Movember campaign. I'm going to put the link up down the bottom, of course, again, and as well, if you'd like to check out my social media pages, the link will be posted there as well. So yes, like I said, this is the final week, so if you haven't done so and you're feeling generous, please head over to that webpage, donate whatever you can, any little bit helps. But that being said, let's get right into the show. Today we are looking at the trailer for Dolittle, some weird casting news coming out of Hollywood, and I will be reviewing the movie Motherless Brooklyn. So let's just get right to it with our first trailer, Dolittle.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself,
are you Dr. Dolittle?
So when I first heard they were doing a Dr. Dolittle movie with Robert Downey Jr., I was very excited. I think he's a great casting choice for Dr. Dolittle. I'm excited to see him do something other than Iron Man, and I like that they were going more adventure route as opposed to the Eddie Murphy one a few years ago, which I liked. Oh, I liked it as a kid. I don't know if I like it anymore. I haven't watched it in quite a long time. But everything that I was hearing about this movie, I was really into. But once we got this trailer, now I'm a little unsure. This trailer does not set up a lot of hope for me for a few different reasons.
We have no choice but to embark on this perilous journey.
The first thing which kind of puts me off is actually the thing I was most excited for, which is Robert Downey Jr. Just the way his accent is, or just the way he's kind of carrying himself and talking, it throws me off a little bit. I'm just not too into it. He's just doing something different, and maybe when we see like the full-length movie and him doing it more, maybe it works more, but just in the confines of the trailer, it doesn't really work, and that's worrisome, because normally, a trailer is showing us the best parts of the movie, or hopefully not all the best parts of a movie, but like it's the marketing tool to show us what we're going to love about this movie. So if they're showing me something that I'm not liking, there's a good chance that I'm not going to like it in the full movie. Hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully it's just some odd choices of clips from him, and that it's actually not that bad in the actual movie.
Everyone pack your bags!
You can talk to animals.
There's an amazing cast in this movie. It has so many people, including Robert Downey Jr., and then a bunch of great voice actors, but we don't really see much from any of them, and that in itself is worrisome. If they don't have many clips to show us and highlight the performances and everything, then I think there's a problem in that. Like I said, a trailer is a marketing tool to show us everything that we're going to love about this movie, and they don't really have much to show us other than like this fantastical world. So it kind of scares me about what is going to come in the performances of this movie, which is surprising given the huge, amazing cast that they have. Once again, we'll just have to wait and see, and hopefully that's not the case. Maybe they're just trying to play it and kind of keep everything hidden until the actual release date so that we can all be blown away by it. But, given what I know about trailers, it doesn't seem to be that way in this.
babies cry, I watch them grow, they'll learn much more than I
It's okay to be scared.
know.
Another big problem I had is the CGI. And it looks a little cartoony, and I know it might be like a stylistic choice because obviously Dr. Dolittle is talking with the animals, and since like the animals are our main characters, they're going to want to make them have a little more personality and a little more like human movement or cartoony movement to them just for the sake of entertainment, and that's fine. I don't necessarily have a problem with the animals, but there is one shot in this trailer where it shows the boy character. He's jumping on a ship. It looks like maybe from like one sail to another or something like that, And that is really bad CGI. That looks cartoony, and that's what I don't like. I'm not expecting the animals to look that realistic. It's hard to do that, and the world of the movie, I think, lends itself for them to be a little unrealistic. But when we're seeing a human do something where there are live-action humans in there, and that looks cartoony, that takes me out. This might have been something, probably could have been something that you could have used a practical effect for. Use a stunt double or something like that, because there's still that amazement when it's a stunt double doing it, because it's still, there is this person doing that. We know obviously it's not the actor doing it, but there is still a real person doing this amazing feat. So we can still be blown away by that. Whereas if it looks very animated, one, it's going to take us out because it looks animated. But two, there's no amazement in that because nobody's actually doing it. So it doesn't trick our brains or anything like that into making us believe that this is real. It lets us know that this is all a movie, this is all fake, this is all done in a studio, and most of it in post-production. And I don't like that.
Hello, Barry. Hello, lunch.
Another thing that this trailer isn't showing us, and I'm not sure if it needs to because I'm not 100% sure that what I know about this movie is correct, but I heard rumors that this is a musical, just like the one in the 70s was a musical. Obviously the Eddie Murphy one wasn't, but this one I heard rumors that it is again a musical, and this trailer didn't show us that at all. There was no singing, there were no dance numbers or anything like that. All it was the version of What a Wonderful World. And obviously if it's not a musical, then this isn't a problem at all, and I have a problem with nothing about this. But if it is a musical and they haven't shown us that, that's a problem, because there are going to be people going to this movie not expecting a musical that don't necessarily want to see a musical, and then if it is one, that's going to throw them off. It was a really big problem in the marketing for the Johnny Depp Sweeney Todd movie because it didn't advertise it as a musical at all. And while a lot of people do know that that is a Broadway musical, there were some people that went not knowing that, and it threw them right off. Some people walked out, and I think that's just something so little that can really affect your audience rating if you kind of trick them into going and then it's something they really don't want to see. You can have a great movie, but if you didn't tell audiences that, if you kind of trick them in the trailer, they're not going to enjoy it anyway because it's not what they were going in to see. So again, this might not be a musical, so this trailer doesn't need to show us that at all. But from what I heard, this is a musical, and the trailer not showing that could really harm this film.
Somehow, we just belong together.
I am still excited, even though this trailer does have me worried about a lot of things. The cast is there. It looks like a fun adventure, so I am still excited to see this movie. I don't think I'm going to go in with very high expectations because of what I'm seeing in this trailer.
Yes, I think to myself, oh, what a wonderful world.
Alright, don't go anywhere. When we come back, we'll be looking at probably one of the weirdest casting announcements to come out of Hollywood in a while. There's potential for a second Joker movie, and the late James Dean has just been cast in an upcoming movie. To take a closer look at these, we have to go before the trailer. Joaquin Phoenix says he is open to doing a sequel to his movie that came out this year, Joker. And yeah, I'm all for it. I do think that this movie worked fine just as a single one-off movie. But if they want to do a sequel, I am definitely down for that. He did an interview where he said that if him and director Todd Phillips had their way, they would have just kept shooting and shooting and shooting because there are so many things they wanted to try and so many parts of the character that they wanted to get out there. So for that reason, he is into doing a sequel. Joaquin Phoenix not normally into sequels. He's never done one before, but this is one that he said he is willing to do. Whether this sequel will feature Batman, I don't know. I think it's going to have to do with how Matt Reeves' the Batman goes, and if they could make it kind of fit in the same universe. From the sounds of it, I think they could, but I don't know if that's the sequel they want to do. I don't know if that's the sequel that people want. If they want to see this Joker go toe-to-toe with Batman right now, or like quite yet, or maybe not. Maybe they just want more Joker. I think if he's not going to interact with Batman, then we don't need a sequel. You know, we saw Joker become Joker. We saw him cause mayhem. We saw him do everything in this last Joker movie that just happened. So I don't think there's necessarily more for us to see if it's not going to be him going up against Batman. I would really be interested to see this Joker go against Batman, especially if it's going to be Matt Reeves and if they're doing more of the toned down detective side of Batman and it is more grounded in real life. I think it would work out really well. So I really think maybe the sequel should depend on how that Batman movie goes. And if it's well received, then yes, let's have a sequel. Let's put these guys together. But if it's not, then let's just leave it. Don't force anything. This movie was so well received that like I don't think you want to try to do a sequel just for the sake of doing a sequel and making money, which studios aren't great at. But yeah, let's just leave this one, and if Batman doesn't go well, then let's just leave it. But if it does, then sure, let's bring them together. I am definitely on board. I really liked his portrayal of Joker, so for him to be a Batman villain and actually go against Batman, I would love to see that. So yeah, I'm on board. The late James Dean has been cast and will be digitally created for a Vietnam movie coming up, and no, I don't want that at all. That's really dumb, I think. Magic City Films has got the rights to cast James Dean in this movie, and when I first heard that they would be digitally recreating James Dean, I thought, okay, like maybe this is a movie that is set like in Hollywood during the time that he was alive, and it's somewhat based on a true story, so like there was an event that he was at, and they're gonna need to put him in there. And while I would prefer, just casting someone to play James Dean, this was an interesting way that I was like, okay. But then after reading the story in Variety, what it is he is cast in a war film as the secondary lead role. So like this isn't just like we want him in it, so we're going to put him somewhere in the background, or we're going to put him standing there just because we want his presence there. He is full out going to be in this movie. And that's weird, and I don't like it at all. I have so many questions, like who's going to voice him? How are you doing that? And just why? Why are you doing this? In the interview, Magic City Films say that we're in a time when we can do these things. We can bring actors back and cast them in roles. And no, we can't. It's like, I'm not even going to talk about the ethics of it. It's just weird. Actors have this amazing thing where they can always be timeless and they can always be alive in our hearts because they have movies that we can go back to. We don't need to be casting them in things after their death because it's just weird and it's not going to be the same. I don't care how far technology gets. You're not creating a James Dean that's going to seem like the real life James Dean. And even if you do, we know it's not real. So this is just so bizarre, and I'm just not for it. It's not gonna work. I just see it going wrong, because there have been movies where someone for whatever reason has been digitally recreated. Star Wars is the latest one, and it didn't work. People didn't like it. Technology hasn't come that far that we can't tell that they're not real. So I think this is a horrible idea. Even if technology does get far enough where they look super real, I just don't see the point in this. They died. They had great movies. Leave it at that. The only time I'm okay with this is something like Star Wars, or like when Fast and Furious did it with Paul Walker, is if someone died during production and there's just a couple more scenes that you need to get in there, then yes, then use that technology to do it. But other than that, I'm not okay with it. No, count me out. I don't want this. No thanks. Okay, stick around. When we come back, I'll let you know what I thought about the movie Motherless Brooklyn. If you're hurt, if you're upset about something and someone tells you to move on and get over it, that doesn't help. That hurts even more. And that, unfortunately, is the case for a lot of men. Men are often told to man up, to tough it out, because the only emotion that's appropriate for a man to feel is anger. And that's just not the case. I want to end the stigma. I want to let men know that it's okay to feel things, to give them a safe space to do so. Because if a man is forced to bottle things up and not let his emotions out, he can lash out and hurt himself or others. The suicide rate for men in Canada is 3 times higher than it is for women. And men often hurt those around them in drastic ways because they've been pent up for so long that it comes out in the worst ways imaginable. That's what my Movember campaign is about. To battle men's mental health, to let them know it's okay, to give them someone to talk to. So please, head to the Movember Foundation website, make a donation. I will appreciate it forever. And let's stop men from dying too young. So I went to check out a new movie that is starring, written, and directed by one of my favorite actors, Edward Norton, and it's pretty good. Let's take a look at Motherless Brooklyn.
Okay, listen. I got something wrong with me. That's the first thing to know.
I got threads in my head. I got threads in my head, man.
I twitch and shout a lot. Makes me look like a damn freak show.
Can't you ever cut that out?
I'm sorry. Touch it, Bailey. I'm sorry.
So this is a movie that in a world of superhero films and action films and franchises and cinematic universes, this is a nice break. This is a very well done film, a very interesting story, but it's a very just individual movie. You know, a sequel's not going to come from this. It wasn't building up to anything more. It was just, it is what it is, and it was quite good. So what it is, if you haven't heard of it, it's a movie where Edward Norton plays a private investigator who has Tourette's, and one of his best friends is killed, and he just starts looking into it because one of his friends was also a private investigator, and he thinks maybe he was getting a little too deep into something, and that's what got him killed. So he decides to kind of take over the case. And it's all really well done. The performances, it's got a great cast. It has Edward Norton, Alec Baldwin, William Dafoe, Bruce Willis, just to name a few, and all of them are really good. I think the one I'm going to focus on, other than Edward Norton, I'll talk about him later, but the one thing that was really nice to see was Bruce Willis. It just looked like he actually really cared about this movie. A lot of his movies lately, he kind of seems like he's just phoning in, and he's just there to collect a paycheck, whereas this one seemed like it was a story that he actually cared about, and so that was really refreshing to see. He can kind of get a bad rap because he is phoning it in, and because some of his movies are not great action movies, but he is a good actor. So to see him in a role that he obviously cares about was really refreshing. He's not in it that much, but what he is in there is good to see.
Frank Minna, Private Eye.
Boys.
Frankly, Franco.
He's the one who taught me how to use my head, turn it into a strength. He gave me a place in this crappy world until I screwed up.
The other performance I'll talk about is Edward Norton. He plays the main character, and he, like I said, he is a private investigator with Tourette's. I don't know much about Tourette's. I don't know anyone that has it, so I don't know how accurate this is. It seemed accurate. It could be totally not. I don't know. I would have to talk to somebody who has experience with that. But it seemed like a job well done. The one thing that I really liked about this movie and with the Tourette's is it could have easily, what a lot of films do is like he has Tourette's when it's convenient for the movie, but then like in important scenes it just kind of goes away sort of thing. Like if someone is saying a big long speech and he's just not having any moments in there, but this movie doesn't do it. There are times when, yeah, someone is saying something and he is kind of either in the background, or it'll cut to him and he'll twitch and he'll say something. So it's not just dropped when it's convenient for the movie. It is throughout. There are times when it's not as bad because he's just in a calmer state or a more confident state or something where his mind is kind of at ease. But that's realistic for it to not be that bad at that time. But the thing I will say about the Tourette's is it didn't necessarily add to the movie. It didn't take away from it. But it's not something that like really seriously came into play. I think this movie would have worked just as easily if he didn't have it. So it's weird. It is based on a novel, so I don't think this is just something that he chose to do. Obviously, it's an important part in that novel. But yeah, it just like if he didn't have it, I think this movie would have worked just as well. But he does have it, and it doesn't take away from it. So it's not. It doesn't seem out of place. It's just kind of there. Which is almost nice to see, to just be like, yeah, this is someone with a mental illness and like a nervous tic or however you refer to it. And it's just there, but he's capable and he does everything else. So it is nice to see. Like I said, it's not a problem, but it just doesn't necessarily add to it. I thought there would be a scene in there where like, okay, this is where it like causes a big problem, or this is where it like really shines and it helps, but that never necessarily comes, which is fine. I was just kind of expecting that.
Brooklyn's just in trouble now. Who?
Does anybody know what Frank was into on this?
There's something going down, and it's big, and they were not happy about what he found.
We find who did this, and we square accounts.
If I figure it out, I'm gonna make him regret it. I promise you that.
This is a movie, it's very, if you like detective films, if you like mafia films, it's not really necessarily mafia, but it has that feel to it. This is a modern day film noir. Everything from the writing, the acting, to the soundtrack, everything is there. If you like the noir film, it definitely really feels like it. It deals with corporate and government corruption and just the corruption of power. And all the performances are really good. And like I said, the soundtrack in it, I really liked it. Really, a soundtrack can make or break a film. And this one made it because it really gave it that noir film. It is a period piece. I don't know when. It looks like maybe like 20s or 30s, like in that time. I'm not great with knowing unless it tells me, which I don't think it did. But it is still like very much like a good like private detective sort of story, right down to like Edward Norton characters. He narrates it throughout just in the same way that old noir detective films did. So it is really enjoyable.
Found something.
What happens to poor people in this city wasn't news yesterday, and it won't be tomorrow.
Where's everybody go?
Mostly just disappear.
This town is run by Moses Randolph. When someone isn't seen for what they truly are, that's a very dangerous thing.
Do you have the first inkling how power works? Power is knowing that you can do whatever you want and not one person can stop you.
I can't really think of much bad to say about this movie. This is definitely one that I think you should check out in theaters. It's just an all-around good movie. I wouldn't be surprised to see it in the running for an Oscar of some sort, whether it's performance, writing, or something. I think we will see it pop up during the Academy Awards. So yeah, definitely go check out this movie.
You remember what I said?
She doesn't know. She doesn't know.
What don't I know?
All right, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the show. Feel free to let me know your thoughts on the show or your thoughts on the films that I've reviewed by heading over to my social media pages on Twitter at Trailer Barlow or on Facebook and Instagram at Trailer Park Movie Reviews. And hit me up. Let me know what you think. I'd always be happy to hear from you. And while you're there, click on that Movember campaign link and make a donation if you're feeling generous. And I will be forever grateful. But I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And until next time, see you in the theaters, everybody. Bye.